It's no secret that some Pokemon are stronger than others, and Game Freak knows that full well. But as the generations go on, a lot of weak Pokemon from older gens get new evolutions. So today, let's talk about Pokemon we'd like to see evolve in future games. Good morning, fellas, and welcome back to MEPlaysGames. My name is Matt, and these are some Pokemon Elias and I think should get evolutions. For this video, we're sticking to Pokemon that aren't part of a 3-stage line. Butterfree's pretty weak, but it's already evolved twice, so unfortunately he's out of luck for today. Alright, let's jump into the Pokemon we did pick.
What's up, I'm Elias, and Gen 2 is infamous for introducing a ton of weak Pokemon. The games also don't let you catch many of them until after you've beaten the league. Misdreavus is really weak, and you can't catch it until Mount Silver. You know, the place you need 16 gym badges and photo ID to even access. But in Gen 4, it got an evolution in Mismagius, and Game Freak has been making other Gen 2 Pokemon worth using too. Dunsparce, Girafarig, Murkrow, Aipom, Sneasel, and Gligar are just some of the Johto Pokemon that have gotten evolutions in later gens. But one Pokemon that's been left behind is Sunflora. Its pre-evolution Sunkern is one of the weakest Pokemon in the whole game, and it still isn't great when it evolves. But Sunflora does have some pretty good traits. Abilities like Chlorophyll and Solar Power to give it a boost in the sun, access to coverage moves like Sludge Bomb, Earth Power, and Dazzling Gleam, and being able to fire off solar beams in one turn in the sun. Too bad its stats look like this.
Its best stat is 105 special attack. Not a horrible stat, but most good offensive Pokemon can hit harder than that. The rest of its stats are hot garbage. Not only is it frail, but it's also horrendously slow. Even if Chlorophyll activates and doubles its speed, it's still gonna be outsped by a lot of Pokemon. It doesn't make sense for a Sunflower Pokemon to be, you know, fast or anything, but ideally, your slow Pokemon can take a couple hits. That's what makes Pokemon like Slowbro and Melmetal work. Well, that and Melmetal having trucks for arms. So if Sunflora were to evolve, well, let's be honest, there's not a lot we can do other than make it a bigger Sunflower. I'd imagine they'd get a boost to its special attack and bulk, but its speed would stay roughly the same. So maybe it could be a tank of sorts. Alright, wake up, your turn.
Over on our community tab, we ran a poll asking about 4 Pokemon in this video, seeing which one people thought deserved an evolution the most, and Sunflora came in a close second to the next Pokemon on our list, Sableye. Matt talked about it quite a bit in his video about the weakest fully evolved Pokemon, and despite its low base stat total, it's got some nice traits. Prankster is an incredible ability, and it can learn some good status moves to take advantage of it. Taunt, Recover, Will-O-Wisp, the list goes on. It's also a Dark Ghost type, which is great defensively. That typing gives it 3 immunities, namely Normal, Fighting, and Psychic, and prior to Gen 6, it had no weaknesses. Of course, the Fairy type decided it had something to say about that in X and Y, but it's still a good combination.
Fairy is Eliza's favorite type.
It is my least favorite type. Too bad it's outclassed by the other Dark Ghost type, Spiritomb. Maybe for an evolution, they could go a similar route to Murkrow. Honchkrow is noticeably stronger than Murkrow, but it loses access to Prankster in favor of a new ability, Moxie, which is also pretty good. Maybe a Sableye evolution could get a different ability in the same way.
In the comment section of the community poll I did, we had a discussion about whether Sableye is even eligible for an evolution in the first place, on account of it getting a Mega in Gen 6. On one hand, Mega evolutions were only given to fully evolved Pokemon, so Sableye getting a regular evolution would retroactively break that pattern. But on the other hand, Mega evolution isn't in the game anymore, so it wouldn't be fair to rule Sableye out to get a new evolution later on. The Mega isn't doing it any favors on the Switch. Personally, I think Pokemon like Sableye and Mawile are fair game to get new evolutions in the future. Pokemon isn't going anywhere anytime soon, so I doubt they lock themselves out of making these Pokemon stronger until the end of time, just because they got Mega evolutions however many years ago. At the end of the day though, no one has any concrete evidence to prove one point or the other, and that's where the conversation ended. We don't know what Game Freak's long-term plans are, so all we can do is take educated guesses.
Speaking of which, Mawile is another Pokemon in that category, and I do think giving it an evolution would be cool, but I also don't think it's 100% necessary. Just give Mawile its Mega ability Huge Power back, and maybe buff its defenses a little bit. I think that'd make it a usable Pokemon already. Fully evolved Pokemon get stat buffs from time to time, and I think Mawile would be a good candidate for that.
Next up is Zatu. Although when I was outlining this video, my iPad autocorrected its name to Saturday. And don't get me wrong, Saturday isn't a weak Pokemon by any means. Magic Bounce is a great ability, because it blocks entry hazards and other status moves, sending them back to the opponent. In Gen 8 it's sitting in the NU tier, the 4th division of competitive singles. There are 6 standard tiers, so it could be doing a lot worse for itself. Its stats don't really jump out at you though. They're not terrible, but Bisharp is stronger and has a better stat spread, and it's still got an evolution in King Gambit. Insert rant about how to evolve into King Gambit here. Anyway, if Bisharp can get an evolution with base stat total of 490, then Saturday should be able to get one at 470.
It's a real shame Saturday isn't in the Paldea Dex, because time travel is a big theme in Scarlet and Violet. Saturday's Pokédex entry talks about how it can see into the future and past at the same time. So I think it would be fun to give Zatu 2 branched evolutions, one based on the past and one on the future. It'd be kind of like how Donphan and Volcarona got 2 Paradox forms each, but you know, Zatu's would be evolutions. These evolutions aren't entirely necessary because Zatu is doing alright, but they'd be pretty cool.
Speaking of Scarlet and Violet, these games don't really feature a traditional regional bird. The closest we have is the normal flying type Squawkabilly. The first time I saw one, I thought, alright, that'll have a pretty neat evolution, I think. Wait, that's it? Yeah, that's a missed opportunity if you ask me. It's cool that there's 4 different forms, and the different colors have different hidden abilities, but Squawkabilly is pretty weak.
Squawkabilly barely missed the cut in Matt's weakest fully evolved Pokemon video, with a base stat total of 417. Predictably, all 4 colors of Squawkabilly are nearly useless in battle. The green and blue ones have Guts as a hidden ability, but they're outclassed by like every other Guts Pokemon in the game. Their other abilities, Intimidate, Sheer Force, and Hustle, are also useful in their own ways, but at this point there's millions of better Pokemon that have them. Squawkabilly is just too weak to get anything done.
Nice one.
It's basically Squawkabilly. It gets multiple abilities
so
and it
does
squawks.
like every other Pokemon in the game.
Yeah, but this has different forms that get more hidden. You know, would they give Squawkabilly an evolution in the later generation when it's the closest thing Paldea has to a regional bird? Who's to say? But its design looked more like a base or middle evolution than anything, so it was pretty disappointing to find out this is as good as it gets, especially considering how weak it is.
Baby Pokemon aren't the worst thing in the universe on paper if you ask me. In the case of Pokemon like Toxel and Riolu, they're just like any other pre-evolution in most ways, aside from their inability to breed. But in most cases, a Pokemon is added to the game, and its baby form is added in a later generation, and that's what I'm not a big fan of. Giving a Pokemon an evolution serves a pretty major purpose in the game. It makes them stronger, and people are more likely to use old Pokemon in battle. But making baby forms just serves the purpose of making the Pokedex longer. You have to spend more time breeding if you want to complete it, and there's not much of a reason to use them in battle. Unless you're doing solo runs, of course. We should do some solo runs on this channel.
And if you ask us, the most egregious baby Pokemon is Chingling. Chimecho was introduced in Generation 3, and it's always been one of the weakest Pokemon in the game. Even after getting buffs to its bulk in Gen 7, it's still terrible. But instead of giving it an evolution in Gen 4, they gave Chimecho a baby form. That time they spent working on Chingling could have been spent coming up with an evolution instead. That way, people would actually have a reason to use a flip and win Chime Pokemon. Congrats, your Chimecho evolved into the Liberty Bell.
Another not so great Pokemon with guts is Raticate. Its base stat total is even lower than Squawkabilly's.
Squawkabilly.
Alright, Elias is cancelled. He's off the channel. And even though Guts is a great ability since you can pair it with a Flame Orb and the move Facade, there's a lot of other Guts Pokemon you're better off using. One idea I've seen floating around the internet, including our own comments, is a Ghost or Poison type evolution called Eradicate, which is a delicious pun, and I will not be taking questions.
If you went the Ghost type route, Raticate wouldn't be the first Gen 1 Pokemon to get a Ghost evolution.
Hello world, I just want you all to know that Elias spent 4 takes trying to figure out how he wanted to pronounce the word route or route.
In Gen 9, Primeape got a much appreciated evolution in the form of Annihilate, a Pokemon that was so strong it got banned in competitive singles less than 2 months after Scarlet and Violet came out. There were a metric ton of ghost types added in Gen 9, so it would have been kind of overkill in current games if you ask me, but I think it'd be a good idea for a future game.
Parasect is another Pokemon that's just awful, man. It's a bug grass type, one of the worst type combinations in the universe. That gives it 6 weaknesses, including 4 times weaknesses to fire and flying. And in Gen 1, it was even worse. Poison and bug used to be super effective against each other, so Parasect had a double weakness to poison too in red, blue, and yellow. In modern games, one of Parasect's possible abilities is Dry Skin, which makes it 5 times weak to fire, so it's always been rough for Parasect typing-wise.
And its stats aren't going to save it either. A base stat total of 405 is atrocious considering it's fully evolved. Its highest stat is its 95 base attack, which isn't exactly fantastic. A YouTuber named Zen Mode does a really cool series where he fixes weak Pokemon in various games, then shows how the new and improved version fares in a playthrough.
One of his videos was about fixing Paras and Fire Red and Leaf Green. In this video, he pointed out that mushrooms are fungi, not plants, so Parasect shouldn't be a grass type. Personally, I'm fine with fungi being lumped in with the grass type, because there's not enough mushroom Pokemon to make a fungus type or something. Most plant Pokemon have nothing to do with grass, so screw it, fungi can join the party as well.
Anyway, I think the reason he brought that up is pretty cool. In his video, he changed Parasect's type from Bug Grass to Bug Ghost. The actual bug part of Parasect is all but dead because the mushroom on his back has taken over control of its body. Children's game, by the way, so the ghost type fits well thematically. But Parasect is probably going to stay a grass type for the foreseeable future, so I think it'd be cool for Parasect to get a ghost type evolution instead. That way, we'd have a bug ghost type in the game that isn't just a gimmick.
Hi Shedinja, friend of the show. The most logical thing to do stat-wise, at least in our opinion, would be to buff Parasect's attack and bulk, and leave its speed relatively low. Mushroom Pokemon pretty much have to be slow, because otherwise Spore would be a much more dangerous move. Bug Ghost isn't the greatest defensive typing, but it's better than Bug Grass, so a tanky Parasect evolution might not be the strongest Pokemon out there, but it'd be alright at least. Alright, let's wrap things up by talking about Castform. It's a pretty cool gimmick Pokemon if you ask me. Forecast makes it change types to match the weather on the field, unless it's sand for whatever reason, Castform has a base stat total of 420, with 70 points across the board in every stat. Most Pokemon have a couple stats that stand out, so they're good in at least one or two areas. Castform is just bad at everything. 70 speed is too slow, 70 attack and special attack is too weak, and 70 HP, defense and special defense is too frail. Rampardos is well known for being slow and frail, but its attack stat is about 1 trillion. Castform just has nothing going for it, which is a real shame.
Ideally, a Castform evolution would lean further into one attacking stat or the other. We think a special attacking Castform 2 Electric Boogaloo would make the most sense. It's got a wide list of elemental moves to choose from, and most of those moves are special. That includes Weather Ball, which used to be its signature move. It's also got your standard water, fire, and ice moves, as well as Thunder, Thunderbolt, Solar Beam, and Hurricane. Also Shadow Ball for some reason. Sure, why not? Its physical move pool is basically nothing. It can learn Avalanche and Thief, and that's it. The rest of its physical moves are normal type. Maybe Castform could also get a souped up version of Forecast, where weather setting moves like Sunny Day and Snowscape also get +1 priority on top of the form change. Prankster Tornadus is a good manual weather setter, but a strong enough Castform evolution could give our guy a run for his money.
And that's all we got for today. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out our podcast, MEPlaysGames, on the end screen. Apparently we're just gonna spitball about Rubik's Cubes for a bit. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one. Good night, fellas. Sleep well.